idea was this?
Hello everyone, my name is J-Bob, and today we're going to be reviewing The Extreme Adventures of Super Dave.
I've had years of experience, and I'm a true professional. Enjoy the movie! You can drop me off in the corner, I'll walk home.
Super Dave is a fictional character played by Bob Einstein. Bob first appeared as Super Dave in 1972 on the Join Biner Comedy Hour, then on 4 additional Comedy Hour late-night shows, and a 6-year run on Bizarre, a Canadian comedy skit show, before getting his own show called Super Dave, running from 1987 to 1992. Following the live-action show, he also did a cartoon show which only lasted for a single season and 13 episodes, which began and ended with a stunt. Stunts were always audacious, impossible, and usually ended up with Dave getting injured in a highly cartoonish way. The cartoon always felt a little bit more appropriate for these stunts, as opposed to the live-action show in my opinion, but then again, the live-action show ran for 5 seasons, so there's that. Super Dave eventually got his own movie in 2000, while showing up before and afterwards on other shows like Hollywood Squares and other late-night shows through 2013. Sadly, Bob Einstein passed away in 2017 at the age of 76 from cancer. During his life, Einstein won 2 Emmy Awards as a writer and was nominated 4 other times. He also won a Cable Ace Award for acting as Super Dave, along with 5 other nominations. There's something in here for everyone. It doesn't go over the top in either direction, aside from the stunts that go awry, obviously. But you could argue that this is more for the people that grew up watching the show. So, there's that argument, but if you enjoy slapstick, you'll enjoy that aspect of the movie.
Maybe then you'll learn to treat people with respect.
The movie brings in people from the TV show, and people familiar with it will recognize the Super One's trademark behavior. A bit dry, witty, and sometimes coming off as a bit of a jerk. But hey, if you got slammed into a basketball backboard, snapped in half, and got driven around by a blind man, you might be a little jilted too. The stunts in the movie come off exactly the same way they do in the TV show. An elaborate explanation of how they're supposed to go, and usually ending up going very badly within a few seconds. It could be a bit over the top for some, unless you enjoyed watching Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O growing up. Then this is night and day in terms of tameness, since Dave was always swapped out with a body double, and those two definitely broke more bones in their lifetimes than most people could even imagine. Mike Walden and Fuji stuck with him in the TV show, so it makes sense that they're here in the movie too. It wouldn't be the same without him. Lastly, it has a happy ending. Bad guys get their just desserts, and Dave somehow averts a massive crisis, which we'll discuss shortly.
Take it or leave it.
Hey pal, you're going the wrong way!
Okay, there's some bad things and then there's some really odd things. The bad things include calling out the I'm your biggest fan type people in the very beginning. Realistically, most people know someone like this, have seen someone like this, or if you're a little confused, this might be directed at you.
Never before have I been so offended by something I 100% agree with.
A lady comes up to Dave asking for an autograph for her son. Dave graciously agrees, and after the typical thanks for the support, really appreciate it, the Karen keeps going for what appears to be several minutes, following him from the entrance to the dressing room, before Dave points out 11 pages seems to be a reasonable place to stop, since his stunt's coming up soon. The Karen is immediately incensed, and after giving Dave a piece of her mind, blurts out, "I hope you crash," and storms out of the room.
First time?
Likely meant in a largely tongue-in-cheek fashion. Anyone that's been in the service industry, this really resonates with some of you, if not all of you. Next, Dave losing all of his money because his agent ran off with it all. Arguably in a world that doesn't make very much sense, and isn't supposed to, this bugged me a little bit more than it should have, I think. How does someone empty a bank account, or stocks and bonds, whatever, and then just vanish into thin air, but then add in the fact that since it happened, there's literally nothing anyone can or will do to get it back?
Sometimes my genius it's almost frightening.
I mean, it's not like this agent was someone like Lupin III that was just so utterly charismatic or so darn slick that he was able to avoid sicking the entire country's police force on him. They didn't even bother trying that with this guy. Just some agent. Hey, do you know what happened to Lightfinger, Larry? Do you mean the accountant? Yeah, that's the guy. What happened to him? We made off with all your money and got off scot-free. But you really got away. We have his driver's license, we have his social security number, we have... He's gone now, doesn't matter. Besides, he was just a plot device anyway. He didn't get any screen time. Screen time? My life isn't a movie. Oh, yes it is. You lovable dolt. My life is a lie. Then, to make things worse, Dave realizes he has to sell off everything he owns because he's broke, but is still running tours of his compound, which he's either making nothing off of, or the overhead's so high that doesn't cover it. So he's just bleeding money and can't get ahead anymore. Because if you go broke, you also lose all of your fans and support, I guess. Next, he decides to take on a protege, despite being broke and making no money? Then, after training him for several weeks and watching him do a single stunt after using Super's name, he reveals his actual goal, commandeering all of Super's fame in an instant, and going on tour to do wild stunts, further bankrupting Super Dave. Because Dave couldn't take what little money he has left and sell cheaper tickets to begin building up his wealth again, no sir. He has to go to the point of shoving all his friends away before the protege and Dave's longtime nemesis agent challenges him to a stunt-off, so Super can earn about half his money back before Super Dave picks himself up by the bootstraps and brings his friends right on back to help him. Get ready for it.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things
Wait! There's more!
Lastly, it turns out that DJ, the protege, and Gil Rustin aren't content with bankrupting Super Dave and taunting him with earning some of his money back. Nope, turns out they want him dead.
Do you understand the words that are coming out from my mouth?
Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, man.
DJ breaks in after Dave and his team assemble a rocket car out of a 1970 Dodge Charger that looked like it was on its last legs, and swaps a couple of PCI expansion cards, or circuit boards, in the card's control panel, which guarantees Super Dave will fail his last stunt. However, since DJ is new around here, he doesn't realize that all of Fuji's handiwork is riddled with problems, so he ends up fixing the car, and Dave pulls off the impossible stunt. Consequently, Gil just happened to bet everything he owned, and possibly didn't own, on Super Dave failing the stunt. So since he lost that bet, reality catches up with them, and they have to pay for their crimes. And how do they pay for their crimes? Well, it turns out they have to help put out a fire for the next 10 to 20 years or so, because Fuji made a box of fireworks out of those relightable candles, trick candles, for some reason, and they just keep relighting themselves endlessly because reasons. In a movie full of stunts where Super Dave gets maimed or injured severely, this particular scene just seemed out of place with the rest of everything, even though I did laugh out loud during it. Dave runs into Sally, who through an odd turn of events becomes the love interest along with her sick son, Timmy, who has a heart condition which doesn't flare up while he plays basketball or rides his bike normally. No, he somehow speeds up after a 1 to 2 foot dirt mound jump and breaks his arm. That pushes him over the edge, but I digress. It turns out that Gil put Sally up to cozying up to Dave in order to get him to do the super extra life-threatening stunt. But after hanging out with him and watching him get pummeled by Fuji's contraptions and the rest of the compound, she grows fond of him in a weird Stockholm Syndrome kind of way.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
She meets him at the hospital where Timmy's staying, and after feeding him a hearty lunch consisting of a bean burger patty, broccoli, cabbage soup, and a soy protein shake, she confesses and tells him the truth, and actually pleads with him not to do the stunt. However, due to the backward logic that dominates this movie, and Dave previously trying to talk himself in and out of it, also settling on not doing it before this conversation, gets up, popping off a few little farts here and there, before going to the bathroom to clear his head. After pep-talking himself in the mirror, going back and forth, the guy in the stall has had enough, and tells him to do it. So he agrees with Random Toilet Man, and commits to doing the stunt. And then...
wrong, I can feel it.
The most otherworldly cataclysmic fart known to man explodes from Super Dave's bowels. I mean, people are flying off, food flying everywhere, little Timmy holding on for dear life in the other room, you name it. It probably happened somewhere on or off camera.
I was not expecting that. But I was expecting not to expect something, so it doesn't count.
Dave then emerges from the bathroom, utterly oblivious to the destruction he caused and walked through, to tell Sally he's going to do the stunt, but not for her or Timmy, but for himself. Everyone else in the hospital is just so shell-shocked they can't even speak, but Dave is relatively fine. He just has a minor hole in his stunt suit, popping off a few more stragglers before leaving the hospital. I'm not sure if that particular combination of food would make you that gassy in real life, but imagine the possibilities. Crazy we found you guilty of being strange-jawed and, well, just you. That seems a little harsh. Well, regardless of that, we're sentencing you to death. What would you like for your final meal? Oh, I have just the thing.
A few moments later.
Sentence me to death, really.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
There's this one lady that drives into the compound, rolls down the windows, showing off her
Huge tracts of land. You are all weirdos.
The bad guys are stuck in a lifetime of firefighting, and the guy gets the girl because reasons, and they decide to marry each other because they got to like each other a little bit.
Drum roll, please. That's your drum roll.
Overall, I'll give Super Dave 2 stars. First off, it sticks to the theme of the show. Stunts gone wrong for comedic effect. Next, it keeps the original cast members from the TV show, and even has Ray Charles make a cameo appearance in the beginning, though he's been upgraded from driving a car around to a bus full of people. The overly cartoonish villain, Gil Rustin, a plus and a minus on this one. You're not supposed to like him, so he accomplishes that purpose. It is odd that he changes hairstyles and clothes more often than anyone else in the movie. It feels like he got the lion's share of the wardrobe budget. Next, consistency with money. Dave goes broke, but then still has money to run quite a few things for most of the movie. After something dramatic happens, then he remembers that he's low on money again, and things accelerate quickly to reflect that. That, and building the rocket car on fumes, hopes and dreams was quite a stretch. Next, the mimes. I'm not sure what was going on with treating the mimes like livestock. It was pretty strange. Among other things, I guess. There was one joke that my wife heard offhand while she was doing homework, and that was pretty funny.
Well, 2 years ago, I lost my favorite mime, Morty. He wandered off, and they don't yell for help.
Serious laugh-out-loud moment for both of us. Lastly, that fart. Again, not sure where it came from, and it was humorous, but it just didn't seem to fit with the rest of the material for the movie. Might be just over-scrutinizing it, but that's my take. All in all, it's dumb humor, and if that's what you're here for, you're going to enjoy it. But aside from that, trying to string together the material that they had from the live TV show into a 90-minute movie, it could have been a lot worse. That being said, that's all for this time, so see you next time. Bye-bye.